I grew up in a small suburban town in Ohio, in a house where favoritism wasn't subtle, it was practically the family religion. My older brother, Ethan, was the golden child. He could crash my dad's car, fail a math class, and still be treated like he walked on water. Me, if I forgot to take out the trash, I was grounded for a week. From as early as I can remember, my parents made it clear who mattered and who didn't. When I was 8, I won a regional spelling bee. I came home clutching the little gold trophy like it was proof I belonged. My mom didn't even look up from chopping vegetables. She just said, "That's nice, but did you see Ethan's new football uniform? We had to spend so much on it." My dad laughed and said, "Sports get you somewhere, spelling doesn't." That was my first taste of invisibility. The favoritism wasn't just neglect, it was active scapegoating. If something went missing, I was accused. If Ethan broke a window playing baseball in the yard, I must have distracted him. When I was 13, Ethan stole money from mom's purse. He told her I did it. She believed him instantly. I was grounded for a month and had to do extra chores to pay back what I stole. Ethan got a new video game the following week. Things escalated in high school. I wasn't allowed to hang out with friends without an interrogation about where, when, and who. Ethan, meanwhile, stayed out until 2 a.m. and got a wink from Dad. Once, I confronted them about it. I remember yelling, "Why is it always me? Why do you never question him?" My dad's face went red and he snapped back. "Because Ethan isn't a screw-up." That word, screw-up, stuck with me for years. It wasn't just about rules, it was about trust. They never trusted me. I could feel their eyes always scanning, waiting for me to fail. And because they expected failure, everything I did was framed as wrong. If I got an A in class, they'd ask why it wasn't an A+. If I helped clean the house, they'd point out the corner I missed. Ethan, meanwhile, could do the bare minimum and be praised like he'd solved world hunger. By the time I was 16, the resentment in me had hardened. I wasn't just sad, I was angry. Angry that my own parents couldn't see me. Angry that I was being punished for existing in the shadow of their perfect son. But I learned something important in those years. Anger can either destroy you or it can forge you. I decided it would forge me. Still, I couldn't imagine just how bad things would get or how completely they would turn their backs on me when it mattered most. The breaking point came during my senior year of high school. I had worked harder than ever before, determined to claw my way into a future my parents didn't believe I deserved. While Ethan partied and flunked his classes, I stayed up late at night studying with a flashlight because my parents wouldn't let me keep the lights on. "Electricity bills aren't free," Dad would bark, while Ethan gamed until 3 a.m. without consequences. That spring, I got the letter that changed my life, a full-ride scholarship to a university across the country. It was validation that I wasn't the screw-up they said I was. For the first time in my life, I felt seen, if not by them, then by someone. But instead of celebrating, my parents looked furious. My mom's voice was cold. "So, you're planning to abandon the family after everything we've done for you?" I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Abandon the family? I earned this. Don't you get it? This is my chance. Dad shook his head. "You're just running away because you can't handle responsibility. Typical." Things got worse when Ethan, who had no prospects, decided to stir the pot. He told them I had lied on my scholarship applications and exaggerated my achievements. Suddenly, my parents weren't just unsupportive, they were hostile. One night at dinner, my dad slammed his fist on the table and shouted, "You're a fraud. You don't deserve that scholarship, and you sure as hell don't deserve this family's name." That was the night they kicked me out. I was 17. They told me to pack a bag and get out before morning. Mom's exact words still haunt me. "If you leave now, don't bother coming back." I left with a duffel bag full of clothes and my acceptance letter tucked in the side pocket. No savings, no car, no safety net. Ethan smirked as I walked out the door, like he had finally won. Those first months on my own were brutal. I couch surfed at a friend's place until I could scrape together enough from a part-time job to pay for a dingy room near campus. I ate ramen noodles 3 times a day. I worked every shift I could find, cafeteria, library, even janitorial work, while juggling classes. There were nights I cried myself to sleep from exhaustion. But here's the thing, the freedom was intoxicating. For the first time, no one was hovering over me waiting for me to fail. Every small victory, passing an exam, making rent, was mine alone. I wasn't Ethan's shadow anymore. I was me. Still, deep down, there was a scar, a hole where a family's love should have been. I told myself I didn't care, but the truth was, I would have given anything for my parents to say, just once, we're proud of you. They never did. And years later, when I finally built the life they said I couldn't, that's when they came knocking. College became my rebirth. At first, survival was the only goal. I worked ridiculous hours, sometimes closing the library at midnight and opening the cafeteria at 6 the next morning. But slowly, the grind turned into progress. I wasn't just surviving, I was building. I majored in computer science, partly because I loved it, partly because it felt like a guaranteed ticket out of poverty. While Ethan was posting pictures of nights out on Facebook, I was teaching myself coding languages at 2 a.m. in the campus lab. I joined hackathons, interned at startups, and pushed myself harder than I ever thought possible. Each achievement felt like proof that my parents were wrong about me. Money was always tight. I remember saving coins in a jar just to afford laundry. I patched my shoes with duct tape when the soles wore out, but I also remember the rush when I got my first paycheck from a real internship. $800 for 2 weeks of work. It felt like a fortune. I used it to buy a secondhand laptop, and from then on, everything accelerated. By the time I graduated, I already had a job offer from a tech company in California. I packed my life into 2 suitcases and boarded a plane, leaving Ohio behind like a bad dream. For the first time, I didn't feel like the family scapegoat. I felt like someone with a future. California was everything Ohio wasn't: opportunity, diversity, freedom. I threw myself into work, living frugally, saving every dollar. Within 5 years, I'd gone from entry-level coder to project manager, leading a team on a multi-million-dollar project. My salary was more than my parents had ever earned combined. I bought a sleek apartment downtown, I drove a car that actually started in the morning. But the success wasn't just financial. I found a chosen family, friends who celebrated me, who showed up when I needed them, who actually believed in me. For the first time in my life, birthdays weren't just another day. I laughed more in those years than I had in my entire childhood. And yet, I'd be lying if I said I never thought about my parents. Sometimes, late at night, I'd wonder if they ever regretted what they did. Did they miss me? Did Ethan still sit on his throne as the golden child? I told myself it didn't matter. I told myself I was done with them. But life has a cruel sense of timing. Just when everything was going right, when I finally felt untouchable, that's when I got the email. A name I hadn't seen in years, sitting bold in my inbox. Mom. The subject line was only 3 words. We need you. When I first saw my mom's name pop up in my inbox, my stomach twisted. For a second, I thought it was spam. But no, it was her. After nearly a decade of silence, after throwing me out with nothing but a duffel bag, suddenly they needed me. The email was short and syrupy. We've missed you so much. Things have been hard for us lately. Ethan's business didn't work out, and Dad's health isn't the best. We heard you've done well for yourself. Can we talk? I stared at it for hours. My first reaction was anger, rage, actually. The nerve of them to act like nothing had happened, like the past could just be erased with a couple of sentences. My second reaction was curiosity. What exactly did they want from me? I didn't reply right away, but the emails kept coming. Then texts. Then a voicemail from my dad, his voice weaker than I remembered. Son, I know we weren't always fair to you, but you're family. Family takes care of each other. That line nearly broke me. Family takes care of each other? Where was that energy when I was 17, crying on a friend's couch with nowhere to go? Eventually, I agreed to meet them. We chose a diner halfway between my place and theirs. I walked in wearing a suit straight from work, polished shoes, and a watch that cost more than my dad's old pickup truck. When they saw me, their faces flickered.
shock, pride, maybe even envy. Then came the real reason they reached out. My dad leaned in, voice low. We need some help. Ethan's in debt. Medical bills are piling up. We thought maybe you could pitch in. There it was. Not an apology, not accountability, just a hand outstretched, palm open. I felt something inside me harden. I smiled, but it wasn't warm. So, let me get this straight, I said. You kick me out, call me a fraud, cut me off for years, and now you expect me to bail you out? My mom's eyes welled with tears. We were wrong, okay? We just want our family back together. Ethan muttered, Don't make this harder than it needs to be. That was the moment I realized. They didn't come to make things right. They came because they saw me as their lifeline. I wasn't their son. I was their wallet.
But if they wanted something from me, they were going to have to pay a price. Truth. I leaned back in the diner booth, watching them squirm. Years ago, I would have begged for their approval. Now, they were the ones desperate, and I finally held the cards. I'll help, I said slowly, but only under one condition. My mom's face lit up. Dad sighed with relief. Even Ethan looked smug, like he'd just dodged a bullet. What condition? Dad asked. I folded my arms. I want you all to admit what you did to me, out loud, here, and I'm recording it. Their smiles vanished. My mom blinked. What do you mean? I mean, I said, admit that you made me the scapegoat. Admit that you favored Ethan, that you kicked me out based on lies, that you abandoned me. Say the words, or I walk away and never look back. The silence was heavy. The waitress came by to refill our coffees, and the tension was so thick she practically ran off. My dad's jaw clenched. That's ridiculous. Families fight. Mistakes are made. Don't drag it up. I smirked. Funny, you didn't think it was a mistake when you called me a fraud and threw me out. If you want my help now, you'll give me the truth I deserved then. Ethan rolled his eyes. God, you're still so dramatic. You should be grateful Mom and Dad even let you back in. That was the wrong thing to say. I turned to him, voice cold. Grateful? For what? Being lied about? Being homeless at 17 while you sat back and watched? I pulled out my phone and placed it on the table, record button glowing red. Last chance. Admit it. My mom broke first. Tears spilled down her cheeks. We did favor Ethan. We blamed you for things that weren't your fault. We shouldn't have believed him over you. We shouldn't have ticked you out. My dad looked like he'd swallowed glass. Finally, he muttered, We were wrong. You didn't deserve what happened. I looked at Ethan. He sat there, arms crossed, glaring. Say it, I told him. He refused. So I leaned in, close enough that he couldn't look away. Fine, don't admit it. But know this, you'll never see a dime from me. Not now, not ever. I stopped the recording and slid my phone back into my pocket. Congratulations, I said. That was the first honest conversation we've ever had. I stood up, dropped a 20 on the table for my coffee, and walked out. Their voices followed me, pleading, angry, desperate, but I didn't turn back. For once, I wasn't the kid begging to be seen. I was the adult walking away with power, with dignity. They wanted money. Instead, I made them give me the truth. After that diner meeting, I cut contact again. I sent them one message. I got the truth. That's all I ever needed. Don't contact me for money again. Ethan tried reaching out later, spewing insults about how I owed the family. I blocked him. My mom sent occasional guilt-ridden emails talking about how families should stick together. My dad never wrote again. I never sent them a cent. Instead, I focused on my own life, my career, my friends, the family I built for myself. Every milestone, my first home, my engagement, my promotion, I celebrated without them.
Sometimes I post pictures online, not to brag, but to remind myself how far I've come. Friends tell me my parents stalk my profile. Apparently, it drives Ethan crazy. That's its own kind of justice. I didn't get the childhood I deserved, but I built the adulthood they said I never could. And honestly, that's the best revenge there is.